Hi, I'm Matt Irvin. I am Director of Quest at Southern Wesleyan University, and I'm excited to talk with you a little bit about calling, which is one of our really important pillars that we focus on for Quest. And when we start to talk about calling, there's a lot of different things you've probably heard, a lot of things I know I grew up hearing about what it means to be called. And we can't cover all of it today because we only have a couple minutes, but I wanted to look specifically at one of the people that Jesus called. And the process of calling for this person is pretty ordinary for some of the disciples, and you can find this in John chapter 1, verse 43. It says, "The next day Jesus decided to leave for Galilee. Finding Philip, he said to him, 'Follow me.'" Now that's pretty simple, pretty short, pretty direct. It's in line with a lot of other places where Jesus says to other disciples, "Hey, you should follow me." And sometimes that comes with a directive for what's going to happen next, like you're going to become fishers of men. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's simply follow me. I think it's really cool that Jesus started Philip's calling by follow me, because it wasn't about what he brought to the table. It wasn't about his training. It wasn't about who he was even. It wasn't about what he was supposed to do. It wasn't about what he was good at or wasn't good at. It wasn't about his sin. It wasn't about his gifts. It was about just come closer to me, and as I walk, I want you to walk in my footsteps. Now, if you fast forward a little bit, John tells us as he gets further into his gospel that Philip's calling to follow Jesus continued all the way. And as Philip watched Jesus, and as he saw how Jesus ministered to people, how he lived, how he treated people, Philip started to kind of process a little bit, what does this all look like? As Jesus is having a really serious conversation with his disciples, it's near the end of his life, and he's trying to give them a heads up on what it might look like now to follow him. Jesus says, "Listen, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you really know me, you will know my Father as well. From now on, you know him and have seen him." That's a pretty bold statement. Jesus says to his disciples, "Listen, you followed me this far. And if you followed me this far, you should have a pretty clear picture of what it means to follow me all the way to the Father." Well, Philip, having followed Jesus long enough, here's what Jesus is saying, and is like, wait a minute, I have no idea what's happening. In verse 8 of chapter 14, Philip says, "Lord, show us the Father, and that will be enough for us." And I kind of get that in that moment. It's like, well, Jesus, I don't really know what it means to follow you again or further or in this weird place, and I'm not sure what you just said or what you meant, but if you would just show us who this God is that we've been searching for, if you would just give us a really clear picture of this God in heaven that we worship, if you would just show us who our Father in heaven is, that would be awesome. Could you do that? Jesus' response has floored me ever since I read it for the first time. Jesus answered, "Don't you know me, Philip? Even after I've been among you such a long time, anyone who has seen me has seen the Father. How can you say, 'Show us the Father'? Don't you believe that I am in the Father and the Father is in me?" Right there, Jesus just said something absolutely baffling. He said, "Philip, from the time I told you the first time to follow me, and 3 years of ministry, every single thing you've seen me do, every single word you've heard me say, every interaction I've had, every reaction you've watched me have to somebody, every single one of them were a clear depiction of the full character and nature and identity of the God that you seek. If you've seen me with the widow, if you've seen me with the orphan, if you've seen me with the powerful, if you've seen me with the hungry, if you've seen me with the diseased, if you've seen me with the doubting, if you've seen me with the questioning, if you've seen me with the angry, if you've seen me with anyone, Philip, you've seen the Father." So for anybody who's watching to see who is this God we serve, who is this God we've heard about, who is this God we worship, Jesus says to you, hey, follow me. Watch how I treat the people in your life. Dig into the scriptures and see how I've interacted with all of these people. And if you look closely enough as you follow Jesus, you will see this God we serve incredibly clearly. So will you follow him?